Well, good afternoon, and welcome back to another thrill-packed episode of Post
Mhm.
Walters. It is August 8th. Yesterday was August 7th. Makes sense. It's
Whoa.
it's math. Let's see. We're almost through the summertime. We're gonna be, oh boy, back to school. Football season's gonna start in just a few weeks or so. There's a preseason game in NFL tonight, probably quite a few. Um, what else? Oh, yesterday for AI, ChatGPT 5.0
Yeah,
dropped.
I opened it up and I
Um,
had 5-0 this morning.
yeah, I got 5.0 on the phone. I don't have 5.0 on the machine. So,
Oh,
yeah, I know it's kind of weird. Um, the reviews are out. Some people hate it, some people like it, some people it's less than what they expected. There's no, I'm not going to get into it because I've only used it for a few minutes. And to me, there was really no difference in how I interfaced with it. But dang, it's fast. The voice thing is really good. It was really good last week. Now it's really, really good. So
right.
that's pretty cool. And for us, as we get to dive in it deeper and deeper, it's real cool. On the copier front, now you probably have this. I think Xerox did something
Yeah, they
interesting.
released a dividend.
What? No way.
Yeah, they did.
Their stock's at like $4.25 or something. What was their dividend?
Um, um, 25 cents. So I guess it's something, right?
Yeah, it's something.
It's
Yeah,
better than nothing.
yeah, I guess it is. Well,
So,
but what else do you hear about that? I didn't see anyone else do. I don't
um,
watch those anymore. It's like
so the press release, Xerox launched a new AI-powered IDP
that's
solution.
what I remember. Yeah, because
Uh,
someone in this audience might know about this whole IDP
yeah,
thing.
maybe late
Maybe.
as soon as he turns his mic off. Um,
Classic, right? We need a solution for that. First off, I do believe that was at 0.00 0.025, so not a quarter. I think 2.5 cents
oh,
is
you're
the
right.
difference.
You're right. You're absolutely
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, I read
I
that part.
remember
Oh,
I wrote the news story for that, and I was like, this has to be a typo or something. It was giving out 2.5 cents, but yeah, just double check there. As for the IDP solution that came out, yeah, that's a big deal. I saw the news, and it's amazing how bad like LLMs are dealing with like like, put a table in the middle of a block of text and then ask it to extract something from that table, and it's not reliable. So these IDP solutions are going to be really important for folks who do want to leverage AI down the line, because you need something to deal with all those weird document elements, and then another one to then do smart things with it. So kudos to Xerox for bringing that to the market.
yeah. It's
And,
under. Go
hey,
ahead.
Greg, and I did see that last week at the conference I was at. Xerox team happened to be there with their AltaLink, it was their MFP, and they were showing their IDP solution, and it was
Oh,
pretty interesting because there was about four of them, and I've always at every conference I've been to, they're focused on the print side of it so much, right? But this team was definitely focused on IDP, and for
hmm.
Xerox to really like be all over it was new to me for sure. But yeah, they used IDP, and then I remember this one slide they had up, and they had, of course, the AltaLink can scan and go into their IDP, and you can put classification models on there and train it on there on the machine. But they also had somebody in the audience asked, can you use your software with other devices or existing images coming from other sources? And they said, yeah, so there's a web interface, there's a mobile interface. So this was definitely much more of a software play than I've ever seen personally for them. So it was good to see it because capture is so important and IDP is very important, and it brings a lot of value to their hardware, but just in general, it just shows. And to Lee's point, right? You want to get your data in for AI, but you need advanced IDP because tables and a lot of documents aren't created for to ingest directly
Right.
into AI. It still needs to be parsed out in a specific way that the LLM can understand entities and then the data of those entities.
Yeah. Interesting. And
Hey, so before we get rolling, let's welcome Kevin Vaughn.
hey, Kevin.
Greetings.
Good to see you on the show.
I'm here to listen and learn. This is my first. Art had sent me an invite, so I had some time today. Thought I would jump in. So it's nice to meet everybody.
Cool.
Yeah, if you could just give a quick minute about yourself, and Kevin and Lee will say something, and Greg will chime in, so everybody knows everybody.
Okay. Well, I'm with a company called Tabco out of Austin, Texas, and we're a bit of an oddity. So you talk about like imaging related companies. I only deal with large formats. So we're a channel partner for Canon and HP. And I've got another company that I've started, doing some digital marketing stuff and kind of taking a deeper dive into AI side of the house. And Art and I have connected online about that. I've rolled out some tools for that company. We've also, and I don't know if this plays into anything you guys are talking about, but we're kind of championing the new product that HP has now called AI Vectorize, where it's taking, raster drawings and converting them into CAD files, so raster to vector. Obviously, nothing new. It's been around forever. The problem is the softwares that have been around in the past have done an outstanding job. There's been a lot of noise that it's created. It's also had a lot of trouble with text. And I think that that's where HP is kind of making huge strides is in the OCR and in the vectorization of the text to bring it into a DXF file. So again, I don't know if that's necessarily in your wheelhouse, but that's kind of where I'm playing these days and here just to listen and learn what you guys are doing. So
Cool.
Cool. So, Mr. Lee, you're up next. Give a good short intro.
Yeah. So yeah, my name's Lee Davis. I'm the ink and toner supplies analyst at Open Brand, formerly Gap Intelligence. In a previous life, I did product testing and market research at another print focused firm, but I was focused on software like IDP, workflow automation, AI when it was still new, just glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm Kevin Neal. I'm the CEO of P3ID Technologies. We're a cloud solutions provider. My career is in document scanning and capture. So I previously worked at Fujitsu as a product manager for their network scanners and their production scanners. And then most recently at Abbey Software House for their OCR and their natural language text analytics stuff. So that's where I love NLP and AI. It's been around. It's actually been around for a long time. But now OpenAI brought it to the masses by releasing, OpenAI and ChatGPT. So yeah, it's an exciting time.
Hey, Kevin, my name's Greg. I know Art from way back. I sold copiers. I sold IT back before there was IT. Everything was a VAR. Now we're doing AI and teaching people how to use it and things like that. So I don't want to go deep into that. But what I did like is what your introduction was, the HP. That was the subject I think we talked about. Could have been weeks ago.
Really?
Isn't that the ability? And again, I'm going out on a reach here. Isn't that so that they could scan in older prints and that had never been scanned in before? Was there a use case for that? But I know we talked about it, guys, at one point, maybe the beginning of the summer. But tell me a little bit.
We
Because
might have talked about it when their press release came out.
yeah. So what are the use cases for that cool thing that HP is doing?
well, I'll be honest, we're still trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out exactly where the vertical that it fits, because part of the confusion out there in the market is a lot of folks aren't familiar with what type of PDFs they have. They just know I got a PDF file.
PDF's a PDF.
If it's already vectorized, then you just drop it into CAD, you flip a switch, all the CAD platforms have it, and it converts it to, you don't need this software. This is strictly for documents and images that have been scanned, and it's just a picture. It's just a PDF raster image, and being able to read that and convert that into vector data.
Wow. So it's for PDF files, digital files that already exist but aren't rasterized. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
No. Yeah. Okay.
So-
okay.
So the thought process
Wow.
is, well, the thought process is because there's been other software. Again, this is nothing new, guys, and this has probably been around for a couple decades. And Wise Image has been out there, and there's been several flavors, right? But again, they were bloated and they didn't work very well. And so what that has relegated a lot of people to do is just to bring that image in as a base layer and then just trace on top of it, right?
Mhm.
But to the tune of about 2 to 4 hours a drawing, if it's a big enough, complex enough file. And now you can do that. You can use AI, and that's not perfect, but it's 90% there. I mean, it does a lot of the heavy lifting, and you do it in about 5 minutes. So if you can, convert that, download the file, go in there and make some tweaks. But what I'm running into, because I'm in Austin, Texas, it's a very techie town, very forward thinking, and all of these big projects out there, they're all in BIM. They're all 3D modeled. They don't have a use for this. So where this is going to live is small renovation projects where they're having to go and pull out files out of an archive and quickly turn around that project if they have to bring it into CAD. Do something more than just marking up the image.
That's what we
Because,
talked about. That's
yeah,
exactly what it was. It was old files that I just forgot about the digital. I was thinking they were all analog, but yeah, they were scanned in as a PDF, as an archive. Like we'd never have, but the use case was we're going to a building that we have PDFs on. We're going to do something to it, add or remodel or something. So
yeah,
we need the old prints to be into the new system. I think
right.
that's yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's
Pretty cool.
still percolating out there as far as building up interest. I mean, I'll be honest, we've went live with it about a month ago. I have yet to sell any
Hmm.
the conversion tokens, but at this point we're just recruiting, right? We're going out there and just sign because it's free to sign up. We just get people in the system because once they're in our portfolio, then that's our client, unless they just leave. And then so as they start consuming, then we start building a book of business on that.
Mhm.
But it's honestly, it's just too early in the game, and HP and their infinite wisdom launched this at the end of June, right before everybody went on vacation. So, there's a lot that we could talk about there. I just don't think that the go-to-market schedule was very well planned out. I think they threw a lot of stuff against the wall. It was easy enough for me to take the ball and run with it and publish a bunch of information. So I'm there. I'm there for organic traffic. I'm there for AI summaries. And so if people are looking for it, they're going to find us.
Wow. I'm sure you and I could share war stories about HP. I sold, I don't know if you remember Edge Lines, the big copiers. I think I sold more than anyone else.
No,
Me.
really?
Yeah. And every single one of them had a hard drive failure. So under warranty.
Right.
So I got to know the warranty system really well. It was terrible. But yeah,
It
interesting.
hadn't gotten
Okay.
any better.
I was
Hey,
getting delayed stress.
Kevin, since you're deep into the scanning world, what do you think of this?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Think of
So,
what?
oh,
Oh,
me or
other Kevin.
yeah,
Yeah, the other
other
Kevin, I'm
Kevin.
sorry.
Oh crap. Now we got two Kevins.
Yeah.
Uh, I won't claim to be a PDF or vectorized expert at all, but at the Twain Working Group, we have created a file format called PDF raster specifically. And I think it's an output file format, but it's, if you scan vectorized data, I think the whole point is that a file format that is lightweight and portable was the reason we invented it for our basically IoT devices. So HP is a member of the Twain Working Group also. They're an associate
Okay.
member for our group. And I was just looking up the AI vectorization. So from what I understand is this is a way to optimize, like Kevin said, the reading text with OCR is a imperfect science. So you could read blueprints and drawings and stuff like that in a better, more efficient way. Is the way I understand it. And you could shrink the file size because these are huge file sizes, like Kevin's indicated. So you want a small size that could be transmitted, that could be stored in a long time in a file format that's going to be around for a long time because you're probably scanning to maybe TIFF or TIFF format because it was highly compressed, I would assume, or some format that might not be, need to have a specialized viewer like a CAD viewer or a DICOM viewer of some sort. So, but I'm seeing that that vectorized PDF and rasterized PDF is a big deal, right? So that's what I know about it. But our working group has real experts, and we're working with organizations like the PDF Association, who is doing things like putting 3D models inside of PDFs. And then Lee, remember they put a Doom inside PDF, so you can put applications inside of. So people think of PDF as a two-dimensional kind of just image, but it's not. It's actually it's like a database almost, right? And you can embed metadata and all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
So it can be a very rich format utilized the proper way, and that's what people are really doing incredible things to use PDF in a creative way.
wow.
So we used to actually champion exactly that when we would sell Bluebeam, because Bluebeam as a markup tool, if you've ever used it or familiar with it, it stores all of the data in the markups list. So every line or cloud or highlight or whatever annotation you put on the drawing, you can even do measurements and takeoff. But it keeps a record of all of that, almost like an Excel file, because you can sort and you can, filter different results, and all of that data lives inside the metadata of that file. But that's the confusion, because if you have a lot of people out there that are working with Bluebeam or something like that, and they're taking a PDF file, and all of a sudden they open one up and there's nothing there.
Yeah,
It's just a picture. Then they don't know what to do with it. So this is a tool to deal with those. So
and that's exactly right, right? PDF, portable document format, right?
right.
So the image itself is one thing, but the metadata with the image is a mini database, right?
Right.
If and like with Bluebeam, if it's structured the right way, right? Entities, right? Maybe there might be invoice amounts on there, and then the line items, right? If that's all structured, then you could read from that and write into a database like Bluebeam, right? So that's the whole point of especially with AI, right? You can create data sets that can live along with that file. And then if it goes over to any application that reads it, but reads it in a consistent way, then you can import it into Bluebeam and other ways. It's called XMP metadata with PDF files.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're strumming like I started, I think it was in 88 or 89. I sold into construction industry, takeoff, estimating, right? And this was digital takeoff back in the day with Timberline. And that's when I got introduced to AutoCAD and all sorts of weird stuff with these big GCs up in Michigan. But, I never even embedding. So you can embed all that data into the image file itself is what I'm hearing you guys say.
Yeah,
And
and we're even working on compression,
wow.
like JPEG XL compression is like 50 or 30% more compressed images. So you could put a
Wow.
video or audio inside of a PDF, and then it all lives together. So you don't have to have just text and images and tables. You can have really rich
Well,
media.
you can have applications. What did you say? Doom?
The Doom.
Lee's a
The
big video.
game Doom?
Mhm.
Yeah, you could run Doom on anything.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, I saw that. Oh, wow. Okay. See, Kevin, that's relevant to our discussions.
It wasn't just Doom. I think I saw Pac-Man and Cubert and all these like
If you
old
can
school
run
games.
Doom, then you can run Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess my question is, how big is that file with that game?
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's good. I think it's pretty small for a game file, if I remember, because Doom was one of the first ones they just did. Well, okay, maybe a year ago, with the so the images they're created as you look at it in the game, because the
Okay.
game
Yeah.
the world is static, so it's there. But Doom, they created it as it moved, which is a big deal, right? So especially in the gaming world and AI and stuff. That brings me back to my question I had in my head is so HP says they're enhancing that process with artificial intelligence. Are they, or is that an AI washing thing?
No, it's not a wrapper. It's proprietary. No,
Okay.
they're, and look, it's a bit of a black box. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't look under the hood, but no, it's proprietary, and it's HP. And so uh, we were very lucky. We got brought in as an early access partner to kind of do some beta testing and bring some people in to check it out. So we've had dialogue back and forth with the dev team for months now over this. And out of the box, there were some little buggy things that would come up, and I would report them back, and within a week they were knocking them out. So I was really impressed with how fast the development team in Spain was jumping on that and getting it good to go.
Cool. Excellent.
Nice.
What else you got, Art?
Peyton,
Yeah, what about Caton?
we've been talking about them lately. They just got approval with ACDI for embedding their paper cut and their Ariva machines. Lee probably knows a little bit about that.
Yeah, I read about that this morning. I mean, it's kind of like what I was saying last week. It's super important for them to integrate with all these different print management, fleet management solutions if they really want to make headway into that business space. So, again, kudos to them for making it as easy as possible for their hardware to fit into whatever environment they need to fit it into.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Wow.
And then we had Konica Minolta reported an 8.6% decline in revenue, but increased profits by 411%. Lee, do you know anything about that?
How's that happen?
How does wait now?
That's what I read, and I was like, yeah, how does that happen?
Lee, explain that one.
Well, I mean,
You're the analyst.
it is following a pretty rough quarter last quarter. So I mean, I feel like anything would be an increase for them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh well.
Got it.
Such as I think who's the company that does the trees? Print Relief,
Yes.
right? They just released something I think today or maybe yesterday about they save 14 kajillion trees or something like that. They do that every now and then. They release, which it's a real thing. I'm not mocking it, but it's like, okay.
Yeah, those press releases go right into my recycle bin.
You should print it first, then crinkle it up and throw it away.
Into the recycle bin. Otherwise, for office equipment, I don't have much that happened last week.
Good.
There was a lot of earnings this week. The 5th, 6th, and 7th. Epson and Brother had some released their earnings. They what was interesting with them is they both seem to be selling more hardware, but still have declining profitability. And they actually both of them kind of had the same excuses: foreign exchange rates and the tariffs. Just kind of cutting into everything. But I think looking to the future, since they are growing their install base, they it should translate to more consumables down the line when folks need to buy again. So I guess good news with the bad mix there.
Well, we spoke about that last week on how much more expensive all of the smaller A4 devices are getting, whether it's toner based or whether it's ink based.
Yeah. Well, with Epson, what's interesting is they're keeping the ink the ink tank systems. They're not really budging on the prices there, and that's something they said in the first quarter release. They didn't want it, the last quarter that they released earnings on it. We didn't want to touch it. They didn't want to touch it, and it's kind of the same story. I feel like they really need to have their hand forced until once they start increasing those prices. They did increase their ink bottles, a few weeks ago. Which I was a little surprised by, because they did say like, hey, we do want to keep these systems down, in price to be more competitive. But I also think that because HP and Canon had also increased their bottle prices recently, they had the room. Canon did 2 increases across their whole bottle line, and HP increased on the 1 bottle they sell. So why not just take that space back up? Take that price space back up. So.
Interesting.
So, Lee, do you know, since you follow Epson a little bit, are they still in that lawsuit with that Texas-based MFP dealer?
Oh man, off the top of my head,
I think it's Epic. Is it Epic?
Oh yeah, so they that was like a two that I think that got resolved at the beginning of this year. It was settled, but that was
Yeah,
over the
last I
yield.
heard, they were going to, they had asked for a trial, and it got approved
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go
So
to trial.
yeah, yeah. I off the top of my head, that was something I wrote about. Oh God, March or April, I think was when the last update of that trial was. I could have sworn they settled, but let me check here.
Did we talk about the impact trial still going on, or something? Something developed, I think, last week on that front. Speaking of court cases,
No, I hadn't heard anything
I
on
think
that.
that's with Dex, isn't it? It might be with Dex. Either way, it's not artificial intelligence or robots.
Yeah, so it looks like this Epic thing was settled in 2024.
Really?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, never mind. It says
Yeah.
there's no record indicating these filings led to a settlement. The case appears to still be active, with Epson seeking dismissal rather than negotiating a resolution. It's interesting with those they sell you 2-3 years ink at a time, but it's like, well, can ink sit for 2 or 3 years? And what happens when you're cleaning the heads? There's some ink getting lost there. So if it sits for a day or two, and then you got to dispense some ink to make sure everything's clean and will work right, over time, over this case 2 or 3 years, yeah, you are going to lose some pages and.
Or how about from users just doing head and nozzle checks or head cleanings themselves?
Yeah,
Because
right,
I'm sure
right.
they have control over that. So if their print quality is not what they wanted or needed today, they're actually going to purge the print head or do the ink check process.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of reminds me too, Art, something I think you were posting about a few weeks ago. Well, everything's based on 5% coverage, but what are you really printing? And I wonder if that kind of factors into it too, where it's like, hey,
oh no, that would never happen. No.
Can you imagine you're in a courtroom, right? And you've got a jury there of whose ever peers they're going to be, right? And any one of us has to get up and explain page coverage. I mean, I guess we're going to have pictures and documents and try and explain to people who know nothing about the industry what page coverage actually means.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be interesting when it goes to court. I would love to be a fly on a wall and listen to that.
Yeah, did you ever hear that one recording? It's like got to be 10 years from now. The lawyer had to actually get the guy to describe what a photocopier was.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. Verbatim, right?
Yeah, verbatim. It's like it was the actual one. Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's
well, you mean the Xerox?
yeah.
Okay, sorry, just to put a pin in that Epic thing because it is bothering me that I couldn't recall it from memory.
Sure.
So this trial is scheduled to set. The pretrial is going to go February 26, 2026, and a jury trial. I guess aiming for March 16th, 2026. But I guess we'll see what happens in the pretrial and if there's any other motions.
In Texas?
That I do. So they refiled. It was initially in Texas. It looks like they refiled in California in 2024. And so who knows? Maybe the change of venue will help them out. I'm not really familiar with the laws in Texas versus California as it relates to this case and how that's different.
It's all about the jury pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Interesting. All right. I was just curious on that front. I think we're done talking about copy machines and.
Well, Art,
like
I was going to ask you one question.
Yeah.
Art, well, I want to not to open any wounds or anything, but how's business in your world, and what's the temperature out there?
My temperature is low. Hasn't gotten hot yet.
Okay,
Good.
all right,
Summer's been hot, but business has been
that's what I'm asking. Okay.
interesting. Not breaking any records. It's been a struggle. Now I'm out knocking on doors, which I told you the other day. And it's going to be a consistent effort for knocking on doors.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people, especially in the summer, where they won't respond to an email, their voicemail is on, and you try and get a hold of them that way, and you're getting crickets, right?
Yeah.
We all know about crickets, right?
Yeah.
So the next step, if you're in sales, is you go do planned stop-ins. And while you're doing those planned stop-ins, you may see some other clients or potential clients or suspects or prospects that you can stop in on.
Yeah.
And luckily yesterday I had one of those. Larger HVAC company who came to the door. We spoke for a couple of minutes and he goes, "We're ready. Give me a proposal."
Nice.
Yeah, but now I'm fighting my CRM. So I got to get them
No.
into my CRM first, and there's nobody to take care of that right now. Someone's
Wow.
on vacation, someone else isn't answering their emails. So I'm just gonna on Monday I'm just gonna make up my own and forego the CRM and get it out to them quickly.
Attaboy.
So that's how
Would
my
you-
summer's going. I'm hoping after Labor Day things are going to
Yeah.
open back
It
up.
always does.
I would also hope that sooner or later we can do something with the interest rate, because I think the interest rate is really killing the leasing part of the business.
Art,
That's
interesting.
of the machines you sell, I know you don't know the exact numbers, but is it still they're buying them for 70% print and 30% scan, or is there some
I would say it's
ratio?
almost 50-50.
50/50? Is that
Yeah.
changing over time?
Well, it used to be more 80% print and 20% scan.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we're getting people who are scanning just as much as they're printing.
That's good.
Right.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Then try, Art, to go back in time in your mind, and would you compare this as a typical summer or a really bad one relative to the last 6,000 years you've been selling
COVID
copiers?
summer.
Really?
Yeah.
I would go back to a COVID
Okay.
summer.
All right.
Because we've also got that thing, COVID involved, right? So I just put out
Yeah.
a poll yesterday on my website, and I just put it out last night. I think I had 4 or 5 responses. But one of the questions was, what is the most popular term of office equipment lease? And everybody 100% said 60 months.
Wow.
60 months ago was August of 2020. We were in the heart of COVID, which started in March.
There's no renewals.
And a lot of us were struggling, trying to find ways to do business. I've said this before, we were robbing Peter to pay Paul, trying to get early upgrades. We still needed the revenue. The dealership needed the revenue. And a lot of us were creative in trying to get those upgrades across. And I believe that is part of what's ongoing. So you combine that with tariffs, you combine that with the 5-year COVID cycle, and then you move into interest rates not being that palatable for a lot of companies. But I don't blame the leasing companies. I do put some blame on dealers. Because as the rates went up, they didn't change their what's that statement I'm looking for? Who's stealing the cheese?
Who moved my cheese?
Yeah, who moved my cheese? Or who stole the cheese?
Huh.
That was it. Who stole the cheese? Because dealers inherently will put additional points on the lease basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Point to the
what was
house.
maybe a 8% or 9% is now 12%. If you look at dollar buyouts, they can be as much as 15, 16% or more. So it's not helping with the rising cost of the machines, the rising cost of the maintenance, because keep in mind, maintenance has gone up as well.
Well, yeah.
Where maintenance on a A3 device used to be 0.0125 per page on low volume, I'm now seeing 0.0175. Right? I was typically seeing 0.065 to 0.07 on low volume. Now it's up in between 0.08 and 0.085.
Those
So
are double digits right there. The increase. I mean,
Yeah. I'm trying to.
it's hefty. The first
So,
one is like 50%.
yeah, is that covering an increase in cost, or are they trying to grab more, profit? Which, boy, I don't.
it could be
And
both, but I think it's more due to increased parts costs, increased supply costs, tariff increases, labor increases. All the
all right,
increases we've
all
had
the
over the
increases.
past 24 months.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well,
And since most of our stuff comes from the Far East,
all right.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I did
so
see something come across my news about leasing company that used to deal 100% with auto leasing, right? I don't know why I saw it, but they went out of business. They just stopped leasing to automotive deals anymore. That was like this week, today, which
yeah, isn't that because a
I've
lot of
never heard of that
a lot
before.
of the
So
manufacturers are offering their own ridiculous rates just to move the cars?
yeah,
0%,
yeah.
2%. I mean,
Yeah.
how can like a third party leasing company make any money if the manufacturers are offering those type of rates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ford's as much of a bank as it is a car manufacturer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, GM made more money from the paper than the machines back in the
Yeah,
day.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and that, opened up a can of worms. That whole industry is going to go through something pretty harsh right now. They're shutting down all their EV plants. I don't know if anyone's been paying attention. Or their plans to build EV plants have all been
Really?
scrapped. Yeah. All of them did,
So
not
what
just one or
happened to
two.
that big push for dealers to get into EV chargers?
You don't want me to start, do you?
Well, kind of.
You can't mandate stuff like that. And it was
Yeah.
a mandate. That's what killed. You could have tried to incentivize more and more, but that's short term too, right? I mean, even the Teslas, you can't live on subsidies, and that's where the whole movement came from. Everything from solar to windmills to everything.
Right.
And yeah, well, the administration at the time brought all the automotive people in except for Tesla, and said, "You guys are going to do EVs." They didn't say, "Do you want to?" You're going to do EVs, and this is what we're going to regulate into existence. Of course, the people
Right.
who did that don't understand demand.
Correct.
There was no demand for an EV that a 1977 freaking Maverick could beat a Tesla from Detroit to Tampa because
Right.
Tesla has to stop every half hour or whatever and spend,
Yeah.
the little Pinto can keep going. That's because there's
Understood.
gasoline stations. But
Yeah,
anyway, see,
understood. But it was about
should have got me
18
started.
months ago when our industry curved into, oh, well, besides water or managed IT, we could sell these EV chargers.
At the time, it wasn't a bad idea. The government was going to pay for the EV chargers. There was see, don't get me going, but I think one got built, and a lot went into that, and that's it. So it was a
And who was
wind the
doing
road.
that?
It could have been a boondoggle. It could have been good, but it ended up being it fizzled out.
Was that ACDI doing that, or was
It
that?
was
I
ACDI.
think it was
Okay.
ACDI. Yeah.
Yeah. They they partnered with a manufacturer, like Elevate, something like that. And yeah, we're selling level 2 chargers. They're still pushing it. You go to their website right now; they got a whole section on it. I mean, it's a smart idea in that, like, look, if you sell copiers, odds are, a good percentage of the folks that you walk into, like, their business, they might have a need for an EV station too. I mean, one of the pushes they were making, like, if you're a retailer, for example, if you put an EV charging station like you see at a Target and Walmart and all these other places,
Mm-hmm.
people will get out of their car and shop in your store.
Right.
And then on top of that, you can still, you're still making money on that charger being there, them actually consuming the electricity and stuff. And the markup's huge on that too, by the way. But
So it's more like a coin operated copy machine from the old days.
Well, it's very similar. Yeah, the
Any
model,
pharmacy or Five and Dime that had a copy machine in it would attract people just so they could make their copies.
Yeah. And again, I mean, it's pretty brilliant. But adoption is going to be the limiting factor there. Like, let's say you own a retail store. What percentage of people that come into your store have an EV? You know what I mean? Or what percentage of people in your area have an EV? And that becomes a limiting factor more than does this make sense or not? Because again, it does. If you can say, oh, I'm going to make an extra $200 worth of whatever amount of sales that day because someone put an EV charger out there, it's not a bad play, but you can't force adoption like Greg was saying.
In Wisconsin, they have pull tabs and you can have, I think, 5 gambling machines in each bar. That is a moneymaker, right? And it's an adjacent to, but it's not, whatever. So there are demand there. That model does work for a lot of different things. Again, it goes back to the whole, it was mandated and regulated into existence. It might have been ahead of its time, which is, that's also an issue.
The interesting thing about EVs, and it kind of, maybe we can use this to segue into robots, is that, these batteries need to get lighter and need to increase the range for which they can, operate, right? But you need people buying to fund, your R&D and all that type of stuff to make those batteries better. No one wants to just dump a bunch of money into it to make the advancements so that everyone else can use it and make money selling the cars, right? And so you need adoption, but no one's going to adopt if you don't have a car that can go the range. And I feel like maybe with robots, it's the same. It's expensive to develop this technology and make it worthwhile for folks to use. But until you can get something that's worthwhile for folks to use that you can sell, it's going to be difficult to fund the research that's necessary to make, the product that everyone wants. Just food for thought there.
Yeah, I mean, now we're really into it. If he could have taken all the subsidies and just dumped it into R&D for batteries, you see that I wouldn't mind a government-funded thing to do research to extend the life or whatever you have to do with the batteries, right? As long as that knowledge gets disseminated into the public.
In the EV world, it is flipping because you are starting to see the cost of the cars come down such that people will actually buy it. It's in their price range. And then, again, now let's say 10% of the cars on the road are EV. That's a lot of money for the companies making it. They could take that, put it back into these batteries, make them better, make the cars cheaper, make the range longer.
I just forgot all about China. I mean, their EVs are incredible. They are just, you don't see them here because they're not allowed. But those, from what I can tell, what's in China, Ford President Ford went over there and said, well, hopefully they'll never come here.
I think it's BYD's company, and
that's it. Yeah.
These are sub $20,000 cars. I mean, just any car for show me a car that's less than 20 grand that's new. I don't know.
See, that's at the range where I'm thinking, well, you know what? Maybe that price, and look at it. It's cool looking, and it does all this weird stuff. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. At least as opposed to no, I'm not even at that price. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm going to go get a 1976 Pinto or whatever, right? But the China stuff, I don't know what their batteries are though. That's where it really gets down to is what their battery life is. I don't know.
It's funny, the whole supply chain, like from the mine to the battery on the factory floor is all one company, and it's I can't remember what it's called, but it's the biggest one in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of BYD, I think the automotive worker, they delivered 7,000 EVs to Brazil. I think it was in June on their own ship. So they don't have a supply chain. They're vertical in that that's their boat that sent it out there. It's like, wow. And it's a cool looking ship, and it could be electronic for all I know. And then part of the rumor was that these cars disembarked all on their own because they're autonomous. Like, I had to dig. That didn't really happen. But that was a headline somewhere. 7,000 cars drive themselves off of a boat. Okay. I'll tune into that. No, it didn't happen. All right.
I heard Tesla had their own autonomous car delivered to some customer recently.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I've heard there's rumor, or I've heard that that's something you order it and it comes to your house.
yeah.
Jeez, that's cool. Hmm. But well, robots, right? Let's see what anything happened this week in robots. Not that I can think of. Still crazy. This week was more concentrated on the LLM, the GPTs, and because OpenAI wasn't the only one who released something. I think this week. I think Gemma or whatever those guys did something too. So
Right.
big week.
I learned something I'll share real quick. So
Sure.
we had a webinar yesterday with the Linux Foundation on open source AI, the impacts on the workplace and economics. And one of the things that she was talking about, one of the projects that they have is the RISC-V project, and that's RISC-V is a processor, and it's an
Oh,
open source programming language, so you could program chips, and you could put technology on chips.
is that a
And
RISC chip?
yeah, it's a
Reduced
RISC chip.
instructions. Oh, wow. Okay, go
Exactly.
on.
So
Yeah.
you get these really cheap kind of off-the-shelf chips, and then you can put your own technologies on there. And the point was that AI is energy suck, it's all this resource and data set. You can't get enough energy. And you can't get enough batteries either. So this is
Yeah.
a big problem, right?
Big problem.
In Santa Clara County, where I live here, 60% of the energy goes to data centers, not to the consumers, right? I'm a taxpayer. I deserve the electricity that I'm paying my taxes for. But anyways, so the whole point
Wow.
was instead of creating more energy, why don't we create more efficient AI, right? By using edge technologies, because these processors are incredibly cheap, incredibly powerful. So instead of transmitting a lot of data back and forth to the cloud, optimize the edge, do as much on the edge. So put technology on the edge, right? And
Mhm.
then just optimize the whole thing. Don't be a bloated operating system and don't be a bloated application that's just sucking memory and sucking energy because we are out of energy already, right? And it's only going to get worse. We're building data centers like there's no tomorrow. And I was at that's where I was last week at a Nuclear Records Managers Association. And I learned a lot about nuclear energy. It was really interesting. But everybody gets concerned, when there is spills and it's very dangerous if stuff happens, but it's highly regulated. But nuclear is a good source of energy. And I think yesterday we shot something to the moon and we're starting to put a base on the moon for energy because they're going to have AI there too, right? To map the planet and drive the space stations and whatever, right?
Mhm.
But anyways, my whole point was like they were using a lot of open source AI and robots and all this stuff together and edge computing in order to deliver a energy efficient AI solution. So this is happening, and a way to do it is with a lot of open source AI was the point of that. It was a research report, and she just went over like 80% or 90% of organizations are using some sort of open source AI.
Yeah. Yeah. That segues nice into, I sat into one today. And it was some big wheel somewhere. I forget his name, but he was part of, Boston
Scientific.
Consulting.
Oh.
No, the consulting group,
Mhm.
BCG, big consultancy. And it was all about AI implementations at the enterprise level. They say 86% of the people say they want to do it. 46% of the AI projects fail right now, right? And it's costing, I think, $50 billion. There was the average investment or is $50 billion into AI, but the return on revenue is only 8%. So there's all this weird stuff going on at the enterprise level. And then it got into, well, and it was a classic IT problem, right? Adoption, alignment. It's the same IT, like putting in a digital document management system, right? You got to have everyone aligned, and then the training, then the resistance to change. It's like, wow, here we are in 1982 again, or whatever it was. It's the same problem. But the bigger problem is the AI is just running everything over, and what they're talking about is seeping in at the end user, which, okay, right? These LLMs are your LLM
Yeah.
individually. So then the discussion got to where I really liked it. It isn't the technical issues, it's the organizational challenges of a
Yeah.
top-down hierarchy with a large C-suite. I mean, they were just singing my praises and multiple levels to get anything done in a large organization, let alone something that changes every single level and every single silo. So it's like, well, yeah, when you describe it like that, it's never going to happen, right? But it's got to happen. So then it just flew out. It was chaos after that. Just total.
It's it brings me back to cloud storage days when everybody was coming out with cloud storage, and like everybody, the corporate said it's Documentum and FileNet and SharePoint, right? But everybody went
Mm,
Box and Evernote and Dropbox because it was easier to use, it was more
right.
convenient. Yeah, so all the consumers were using cloud storage, and the enterprise finally said our users are going to use it anyways. Then they finally had to embrace it, right? So everybody's using creating their own GPTs and their AI because it's easy to use. I see it
Yep.
already. The statistics are they're not using Microsoft Copilot that's mandated and they bought license. They're going to OpenAI and using, creating their own personal out there. So now the corporate is going to have to embrace that and like try to get all that data consolidated. So it's the same exact
Yeah,
thing.
it's the same model. Yeah, you're right. It's like when the PCs first came out, everyone had a PC in their kitchen that was 10 times better than the System 36 at work or whatever, right? Why can't I print banners off this computer that I'm at work? I can do it at home,
Mhm.
that whole thing. And that kind of matriculated up. This one's a tough one. I see the metaphor and I see the parallel to it. This one, though, I don't think the business models that exist today can exist.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer, but that's what we're seeing is these big systems are trying to hammer AI into their form, right? They're trying to recreate artificial intelligence in their likeness.
Yeah.
I
It,
don't
it
I don't think that's going
Yeah.
to work. I don't know.
almost
I'm
seems
not
like
for it.
the real money is in implementing and teaching, and less the license cost for ChatGPT or whatever.
It's yeah, now you're getting into licenses. Now you're getting into, there's more and more talk of just buying the software as opposed to $5 a month for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
That, subscription based things, that whole model's now in question. In question. Doesn't mean it's going to go away, but it's like
Right.
maybe I just want to buy it. And then especially if AI improves on its own in your environment, right? You're not buying a cookie cutter CRM anymore or an
Mm.
accounting system. You're buying a system that will grow and work the way you do as the more you use it. That's a totally different thing. It's like,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Very
It's
Yeah.
just
interesting.
it's a great time to be. That's all I gotta say. This is nuts. I love it.
That that's it. That is interesting. It's like what even is an application when you get to a point where these because it's just AI do this, do that. You know what I mean? Once you
Someone said today, I don't know if it was Sam, it might have been Sam, he just English is the new programming language.
yeah,
Oh.
whatever any
Oh,
language really.
wow. Yeah. It's like, holy crap. And that
Well,
was on a demo yesterday. The guy, I'm sure it was staged, but there was in like a minute or two, 400 lines of code were generated. And he prompted some sort of something into existence that didn't exist before. And in 4 minutes, 600 lines of code came out. And boom, there was this thing that was on the screen that moved. It was a boat, Bernoulli something, something about how the wind goes over your wing. And that's how the flight is,
oh,
yeah.
the
But
Bernoulli
it,
concept.
yeah, the Bernoulli concept. He did that, and it was dynamic. It wasn't static. He goes, all right, now all he did was prompt it. The
Yeah,
prompt might have been not even a page long.
yeah.
I mean, it probably goes over a lot of people's heads, but I'm thinking that's 600 words. I mean, I don't code. I know all those languages. That's why I don't code because I hate it. I hate programming. But okay, tell the thing to do it, and it did it. Done.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I'm in the same boat. I'm not a
whatever.
developer, but I've definitely had ChatGPT spit out some VBA code for me to make my Excel life a lot easier. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny too, though, that like all right, hey, ChatGPT, let's say you want to configure an agent, do X, Y, and Z for me. Go to this website, put this thing in a cart, and record the price for me, and then write it into a spreadsheet. It's probably easier to just use ChatGPT to write the code to do that and get consistent, accurate results. More so than just saying, like I said, hey, go to this website, do this, do that. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it's funny
is.
how
Here's one of my theorems. AI eliminates the middleman. So the
yeah,
middleman is Excel, right? Because you were throwing stuff in Excel to do something in Excel when the AI can probably do it anyway,
Yeah.
right? The same with the CRM and all these middleman applications. And now you got me going. To ultimately, there won't be um, the whole layer between AI and hardware will go away. So there won't be an operating system per se. There won't be a Windows. Your AI will communicate with your hardware. Boom. And by yours, I mean everyone's. So all that stuff goes away. There's no more apps. There's just this is what I want to do. Okay, go. Right? You don't have to go into DB4 or spreadsheet or write a letter in Word and format, it's not there yet, but you can see bits and pieces of it happening. That's what's cool. Anyway, I don't
Well,
know.
that's really going to take off with the agentic AI. That's where that's going. But that's bringing up a huge laundry list of security concerns because, there's
Yeah.
people that are getting all excited about it and handing over all their personal information to build these agents to go out there and fill a shopping cart or something. But now it has all your financial information.
Yeah.
So, and somebody, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and he brought up a compelling point, especially when you're looking at like some of the vibe coding and stuff that's going on now. And he's like, all of the AI that you're using to write this code, that's the same AI that bad actors are using to expose it.
Yep.
So they're kind of like using the weapon against you. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes and how they police the security on things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Would that be more used in robots? Would they change over to that?
to what, Art? What are you talking about?
Agentic AI.
Oh yeah. Agentic yeah. It's agency. They, s-
Yeah,
self-awareness.
I didn't know anything about it until Kevin just mentioned it.
Oh,
And I
okay.
just got it up
Yeah.
on my website. Autonomously pursue goals, make decisions, and take actions without constant human oversight.
Yeah, instead
Yeah.
of asking a question and just getting a response, you just go, "Hey, go do this thing," and it just does it. It has a bit of autonomous workflow to it. But again, you have to hand over the keys to, hey, this is my login to DoorDash. Here's my credit cards, and in theory, you'll do all of that for you. But what's the exposure?
Yeah. It's kind of, yeah, like you're saying, okay, so now my credit card is allowed to be spent by this bot. So a bad actor gets access to your chat GPT and says, hey, well, go take this card and dump all the money into this bank account, or
Yeah.
go buy a bunch of Bitcoin and then send that Bitcoin to X, Y, and Z so I can have it. So yeah, it's going to be a big, we're going to see, the story will come out. It's going to happen. Someone is going to go on the news and say, I am broke now. My company's under because, we had a bad password and someone got into our chat GPT account and just stole all the money. It will happen. It's not a matter of if, it's definitely when. It maybe
Right.
already has happened,
Yeah, probably already has.
But
Well,
if you pay
go ahead.
attention to the threads of what people are talking, I mean, there's a lot of gullible people out there that are just wooed by the technology and
Yes,
willing to just let it do their bidding. But yeah, so they're going to be the first casualties, unfortunately.
I ran
Sure.
across something today on TikTok while I was having lunch, and somebody at TikTok produced a video asking, "Oh, what was your grandmother's name?" I was like,
What is your
"Really?
social security number? What's your date of birth? What's
All
your
right.
father's name? What's your
Everybody, tell me what your grandmother's names were."
They present it as a game, right?
Yes,
Oh
Against your
yeah,
friends.
as a
Yeah.
game.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much fun, nice
And you
music,
win
old
points.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's an old school phishing technique.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for
Yeah.
a while. That's as old as social media, basically.
Well,
well, you
I'm
wouldn't
of the
believe
belief
all
that
of the responses.
the agentic, just as bad as the bad operators are, we're going to have good operators that are going to come along and say every transaction is disposable. Right? I pay this once, but that's it. That number's dead.
Yeah.
Like a burner
Oh,
card
yeah. Yeah, they do
somehow.
have services like that where you load money into their site and they create a one-time use. I mean, Capital One does that as a feature as well, for free.
That's
soon.
just an example. But you're right. The threat is there, and it always comes down to the human is the weakest. It doesn't matter how secure everything is. You can still, you can still call the help desk and pretend you're an employee.
I mean, it can even be self-inflicted, a bad config where you're just saying, okay,
Yeah.
like, when these conditions are met, spend something, and then you just didn't think it through, and now, oh man, I just spent 10 grand on yarn because I didn't put any limitations on,
Yeah, you're right. and that would happen.
I just spent 10 grand on this PDF with Doom in it.
But that's
Well,
worth it. That's value.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
We'll go play Doom.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a great conversation today. We're actually 2 minutes past our witching hour. We
Holy
run
crap.
these until 5 o'clock. We're here every Friday at 4 p.m. Most likely we're going to be here for our Labor Day weekend show just in the next couple of weeks. But I want to thank Kevin Neal for coming on board, right?
Thanks, Kevin.
Want to thank Lee Davis and Lee with Open Brand. He's a great analyst and helps us along. And our first visit from Kevin Vaughn from Tabco, and we hope to have you on more shows. I'll keep sending you invites whenever you're available. We'd love to have
Kevin,
you on the show.
It was great talking to
Yeah.
you. Good
Enjoyed
stuff.
it, man. Appreciate the invite and good chat.
Other than that, everybody, please like, follow, share, and we will see you next week.